Well, hello and good evening. It is 8 o'clock, Saturday evening. Just got home from an end of harvest party about an hour ago. Still feeling kind of under the weather. So you get me off camera this evening. Um, but tomorrow is the premiere of Yellowstone season 5. So I figure we should probably do a recap of the last season just to catch us all up since it has been, oh, I don't know, about a year, I think, since season 4 ended. I did put the link in the chat if anybody wants to hit the link and come up on panel with me. Um, I know there were several people that expressed some interest in that. They are Yellowstone watchers as well. Um, so anybody that's caught up, season 3 ended in a hail of bullets, leaving bullets and explosions, leaving Casey, Beth, and John Dutton all in various states of injury. Um, and then the season ended, and it was kind of like, what? Excuse me? You can't leave us like hanging like that. That's not nice. So of course that's where season 4 picked up, is where all of that left off. John Dutton is laying on the roadside. If memory serves, they never really, I at least I don't recall them saying through season 4 how many times he was shot, but for some reason, like 16 is ringing in my head. But I'm not sure if that's correct, but he was shot a lot. And he was on the side of the road because Good Samaritan. He pulled over to help somebody change a tire and was ambushed by the militia. First plot hole in season 4. They showed John Dutton shot up on the side of the road. They showed the lady that he stopped to help dead on the side of the road. But what about the little boy, the lady's son, that went out into the field? They never really say at the beginning what happened with him. And so I kind of waited through season 4, waiting for that to come out, and when Carter made his appearance, I thought maybe that's how they're going to write that kid in. But they never really clarified what happened with that kid in the field. I would assume they just don't want to show a young child shot on screen, but who knows? Could be a plot line for season 5 for all I know. But of course, we ended season 3 and started season 4 with the big question: who planned this big old massacre? And there was all these speculations of who it could have been. And of course, Beth, because of her vendetta against Jamie, blames Jamie. Jamie's at fault for everything. Little did she know, however, how close she was. Off, but still close. Casey got shot once in the shoulder during the big shootout with the militia at the intersection. He wasn't injured in the initial attack. Beth's building was blown up, and she had extensive burns to her back. And then, of course, John Dutton was shot by semi-automatic weapons, so he got sprayed in bullets. He was unconscious in the hospital. Speculation that he was not going to survive. He was never going to wake up. But he did. Now, looking at those scenes where Beth rounds the corner and he's standing up and he's awake and she drops her coffee cup, would lead one to believe that an extensive period of time had passed from the day of the attack until this scene was being shot, right? I mean, after all, she had those massive burns all over her back. cuts to her face. You know, she was pretty injured. And yet she's walking around like nothing. But then the timeline doesn't match. As the following scenes and following episodes continue to go, it's like, wait a minute. None of the other timelines were matching up as this being a long extended period of time in between, in between episodes or in between scenes. We find out later, but not until like episode 9, I think, how long he was really in the hospital, which then fills in a hole, but then makes it absolutely not make any kind of sense whatsoever. Lots of side deals going on, some real life deals going on, as well as, written in. So fun fact, some people may not know, Taylor Sheridan, who is the writer of Yellowstone, he is a real cowboy. All those scenes with the cutting horses and, the ones that spin, there's a name for the trick riding. I can't think of what it is at the moment, but he is a horse trainer in that arena. That is what he does. And he's like world known for that. Hey, Brittany, how are you tonight? Well, not only is he the writer of Yellowstone, but he purchased the 4-6's ranch during the taping of season 4. He bought it for like $341 million. So he now owns this and the 4-6's is the longest running ranch in the state of Texas. I'm like, that's pretty cool to think that, he wrote himself into the show, obviously. But he is a real writer. He is a real cowboy. He is a real horse trainer, and he's a real ranch owner. And I think that's part of what makes Tombstone so authentic, is that it's not written by a city cowboy, somebody whose boots have never seen horse shit. This is a real boots on the ground cowboy writing a movie or writing a TV script about cowboys. He knows his shit. He knows what he's talking about. And I think that's what makes the bulk of the show so authentic. Because he knows, like I said, because he knows what he's talking about. But lots of controversy, lots of fights, lots of infighting. I'm sorry. I'm sick too. Going out in the cold on, what was it, Tuesday, I think it was, has really wreaked havoc with me. And now I'm sick. So I'm like, yay. I don't want COVID again. I've already had it 4 times. I don't want it ever again. I'm done with it. Well, I hope you start feeling better, though. But again, if you've watched Yellowstone from the beginning, you know that this family is wrought with controversy, with conflict, with backdoor deals, side hustles, and everybody manipulations, and everybody's playing somebody off of somebody else. And season 4 was definitely no different. Jimmy was sent to the 4-6's ranch to quote unquote learn how to become a cowboy. He met Emily while he was there, got engaged, came back, girl fight between Mia and Emily. All the guys in the bunkhouse thought that was hot as hell, watching the girls duke it out. I cried when Lloyd cried, when he was talking to Jimmy about going back to Texas, and he's like, about learning someday I might be a cowboy. And Lloyd looks at him and goes, boy, you already are a cowboy. And he just starts crying. I'm like, oh, I'm going to lose it. Well, hopefully it's your last time ever getting it. So over the course of my 4 different times, it's hit different parts of my body, different systems. So there's not a part of me that's not affected by long COVID, unfortunately. I think probably one of the biggest rifts within the family unit that I took note of during season 4 was Beth setting up Summer to take the fall. She ends up getting sentenced to 14 years, 15 years, 14 with good time. I'm like, you think it's a year off of her prison sentence? Some good time that is, right? And it was all at Beth's encouragement. So that really caused a lot of problems between Beth and her dad. It'd be interesting to see how that works itself out this season as well. Yeah, curls me too. The problem I have is every time I find it, the shirt is yellow. It's that mustard yellow, and I don't want a mustard yellow shirt. I want it, but I want it like in black or heather gray. But why? I mean, why are Beth's shirts always that yucky yellow, like manila folder yellow? Not even manila folder, like the mailer envelopes where they're that yellow orange color. And I'm like, why are all the shirts that I find are that color? And I don't get it. That is not a color that I would ever see Beth wearing. So why all the wardrobe is in that color boggles my mind. um yeah, I am going to be really interested to see what happens between Beth and her dad with Summer and where all that plays out. Because John did allude to that there's now is when they fight, now that she's been convicted, which normally that's, if you've been convicted and you're going to prison, it's too late to fight for something. But again, we're talking about the Dettons, and their reach is very far and very deep and very subversive. So what's he going to be able to do? How's he going to get her? How's he going to get her out? I'm curious. Yeah, see, and that's what I'm saying. It's like every time I find a shirt, even like when I'll find one that'll say something like some of her quotes, like "I am the bigger bear," or um, "You're the trailer park, I'm the tornado." Those kinds of things. It's always in that ugly yellow, and I just don't get it. I do have a shirt that's black that says "Don't make me call Rip," and I have another one that says "I'll take you to the train station," and they're both in black. Yeah, go get some Respite. Stay hydrated for sure. But yeah, why are Beth's always that ugly yellow? I don't get it. I will never understand that. Um, so if you came in, since you came in late, curls, up at the very top, the very first comment, I did put the link to my StreamYard link if you want to come up on panel, or anybody else that might be hanging out. Casey and Monica, I don't know. I've always had a hard time with their relationship. I find their storyline to be very dull, especially in relation to the grand scope of the show. So, okay, they bought a really cute house, came with a dog, I like that, and then Casey being sent on this spiritual journey when he sees the wolf. And all of that, I think that was really cool. And that was the one thing I did like about season 4 was between Tate going to the sweat lodge to deal, for the 4 days after the shooting, and then Casey doing, his I don't know if they call the vision quest, where he stripped down and was out in the cold and was try basically, what did the wolf mean when the wolf came to him? being able to see a little bit more of some of the native traditions, since the Native Americans are so steeped in the storyline, it was nice to see some of their ceremonial stuff coming into play in season 4. Exactly. And I had so much hope, because that was kind of what I thought about season 4. Is it ended? I mean, it started so action packed. Like you're on the edge of your seat, about to piss your pants because it was just like so just so fast paced that it kind of was a letdown that the rest of the season wasn't that action packed. um, so yeah, I am curious to see, what season 5 is going to look like. Hopefully, not too super political now that John is in the governor seat. I think it's governor or state rep or something. But yeah, I agree. I agree. I think there's going to be a lot of violence in this coming season. Have you seen the trailer for it yet, Curls? For season 5? So there was lots of new characters introduced in season 4. Um, some of the mainstream characters from seasons 1 through 3 kind of took back seat a little bit more. Really love Teeter. It's Michael Landon's daughter, for those of you that didn't know that. Um, loved her energy and how much of a role she had in season 4, and was glad that when they fired the girls, she wasn't among them. Um, that she got to stay, even though Mia and Laramie were still around, um, even though they weren't supposed to be. The analogy. So if I get fired from McDonald's, I can never go back there. It was a good point, but um so for me, going back with the healing time, that was my biggest issue with season 4, is that even the layman person knows that burns extensive as Beth had are not going to heal in just a matter of weeks or months. We know that. And yet that's the way it was made to appear at the beginning of season 3. Well, in season 9, as Beth is going toe to toe with her dad, she's talking about, I watched pus come from here and here and here, and she's poking all his bullet wounds, and she goes, for 60 days I watched this. And I'm like, wait a minute. So they made the implication at the beginning that it was only 2 months, but in episode 9 she says 60 days. So not only did he heal from all those bullet wounds and come out of a coma in 60 days, but she healed from those burns well enough to wear regular clothing and go back to work within 60 days. Mm. Now, would I have expected that to be a real time? Well, no, because they would have spent the whole season, you know, healing. But to make it a little more realistic than 60 days would have been less insulting, in my personal opinion. Um, let's see. So John, Casey, Tate, Rip, Beth, Jimmy, Carter. So season 3 introduced Carter. A little kid, rough around the edges, was at his dad was dying in the hospital, at the same hospital that John Dutton was in. And when his dad was dying, Beth kind of stepped in and took on the role of his guardian in the moment. Which, given the fact that she was raised without a mom, I thought was an interesting twist. And then I wanted to reach through and slap the shit out of her when he calls her mom later in the season, and she turns around and says, "You don't call me that." And he goes, "Why? You're acting like my mom." And she goes, "You had a mom, and she's gone. You don't get another one." It like about killed me. I wanted to reach up and slap her because I'm like, man, I have hope still that being the mother to Carter will soften her just a little bit. Maybe. We'll see. And they kind of alluded to that, right with the wedding and the marriage and stuff, when she said she wanted to be, before she had one last act before she became the softer Beth and before she became a married woman. So they kind of alluded to Beth having a more subdued, more calm role and not such a bitch in season 5. And I'm not sure how I feel about that, because Beth being a bitch is what I love about her, being a hard ass, but I would like to see her be a little more human at the same time to the people that are close to her. Not treating her family like a business deal, just like anybody else. She kidnaps the priest. Oh my goodness. But Beth, honey, we're not even Catholic. But he can sign the thing, right? I love that. And then when Carter goes, "Are they all like that?" And Lloyd says, "No, son, none of them are like that." Talking about our weddings, are all weddings like that? Garrett was another character that was introduced. I don't recall if he was introduced at the end of season 3 or the beginning of season 4. But Garrett is Jamie's biological father. And I want to say he was introduced toward the end of season 3 when Jamie found out he was adopted, and all of that. But I could be mistaken. But through the whole investigation and trying to figure out who did this attack, yeah, so my weekly, I'm going to do recaps on Tuesdays at 8 Pacific Standard. So the show will air on Sunday, and then on Tuesday nights I'm going to do the recaps. And I know it's late for people that are West Coast, but yeah, that was the time that at least the people that voted said it would be the best time. So hopefully you can at least catch my Tuesday night streams. And Curls Mini Maker is my daughter. She does crochet, and she is working on getting her Etsy shop up and running. How was bowling, Minnie Moo? So through all the investigation of the attacks, they found the militia. The militia led to this guy in jail. The guy in jail led back to Garrett. And Jamie found that out by going and interviewing the guy in the jail. Jamie confronted his dad, pulled a gun on him, under the guise that he was going to arrest him, I presume. But in the end, they ended up hugging, and then Jamie kept it a secret. But it's not going to stay secret long, and all hell will be paid at the hands of the Dutton family. Oh, fun. Hugs and high fives. I love it. She's such a people person. So just some stories to wrap up coming into season 5. We'll see if we get any answers. Are Colby and Teeter going to hook up? All right, girls, have a good night. Are Colby and Teeter going to hook up? Are Jimmy and Emily is there going to be a wedding? Or is Jimmy going to give up and come back to Mia and the Yellowstone? If he stays at the 4-6s, what about his brand? How does that work? He's branded for the Yellowstone. Where do things go with Beth and Rip? They don't have a house to live in anymore. The militia burned it down. Are they going to stay living in the main house? Are they going to find their own place to live again? What are they going to do with Carter? Does Carter ever get accepted as, as their child, or is he always just going to be the kid, hanging out on the outside? What do Casey and Monica have? Do they have a little boy or do they have a little girl? We definitely will find that out this season. Just kind of reading over my notes real quick. Summer. Again, what happens with Summer? Does John finagle her way out of prison? Do they stay together? Does that become the new Dutton wife? And if that happens, will Beth ever accept Summer as her stepmom? So lots of questions going into season 5. I'm very excited. So season 5, I think I want to say it starts at like 6 o'clock my time. Let me double check. I would totally play a trailer if I thought it wouldn't get me in trouble. I never really got into the prequel of Yellowstone either. It's kind of So the season 5 premiere is on Paramount Network TV, 5 Pacific, 8 Eastern, tomorrow, November 13th. So 5 o'clock my time, 8 o'clock on the East Coast, all the hours in between and all the hours around the world. Hey, Drazo. You could go check with Paramount. I think on the Paramount Network website. I think, or even on Peacock. Peacock might have them. I know that Paramount is doing 4 and 5. I don't know if they carry 1, 2, and 3. Boy, season 5 premieres tomorrow. You got a lot of binging to do in the next 24 hours if you're going to try to get caught up for before you watch. But there's a lot of history in those first seasons that really, if you don't go back and watch them, things in like season 4 and 5 aren't really going to make a heck of a lot of sense. It's not one season, it isn't completely dependent on the following the previous season, but there's bits and pieces of the storyline that is carried through all of the seasons. So if you don't know the back history, you might be lost a little. But then again, you can always ask for those of us that have seen it all the way through. Because I think 1, 2, and 3 played on Peacock. Or no, I take that back. 1, 2, and 3 were on TNT or something, and they moved it to Peacock, I think. And one of the big storylines, if you've missed seasons before, you will not understand the deep-seated hatred between Beth and her brother Jamie. That will not make any sense if you don't know why. Yeah. Yep, that's the right show. Chilling in the water trough like a bathtub. Cigarette in one hand, bottle in the other, when she said, "It's an out of the bottle kind of day." Because he comes up and he goes, "Babe, what are you doing?" She's like, "Relaxing." It's a straight from the bottle kind of day. So, again, for those of you that are new, hopefully you can find some of the earlier seasons. If nothing else, try to get 3 and 4. 1 and 2 are kind of slow. 1 definitely is slow in comparison to like 3 and 4. But if nothing else, try to get 3 and 4. And that'll give you a lot of information about where things are and what's going on with the family, who they are as a family. Oh no, that was when she was buying. That was this was in season 4. She took Carter into town to buy him a jacket and a pair of boots, and he wanted a shirt instead. And she was like, "Get the fucking shirt off." And this Karen was like, "That's child abuse. That's child abuse," and trying to film her. And she grabs the phone, throws it on the ground, and stomps the shit out of the lady's phone. And that's true. It could be. But no, I think you're talking about Yellowstone. They were in a Western store and the kid had a black Western shirt on. So season 5 premiere tomorrow, 5 o'clock Pacific, 8 o'clock Eastern. For other places around the world, you'll just have to figure out what time it is for you. And then Tuesday, 8 o'clock Pacific Standard Time. Right here on this channel, we'll be doing some discussions. I'm not going to do it in a recap fashion because, again, if you watch the show, we don't need to recap it. I just want to have some discussions about, what kind of things did you notice that maybe I missed? Are there new plot holes? Have they answered any questions that have been left open from previous seasons? Just kind of doing a general discussion about each episode as it comes from week to week. So tune in here again, Tuesdays, 8 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. If that turns out to be too late, I can try bumping it back to 7. But we'll kind of play that by ear. We got a lot of episodes coming up. We're right at the beginning, so we could definitely, yeah, little bits and pieces that you pass out at the house. Absolutely. The time is adjustable depending on, where things go. So with that being said, I'm going to go ahead and drop out for the night. Hopefully everybody is finding some peace and quiet tonight. YouTube streets have been really insane the last couple days. So find your little piece of the corner of the world. Piece of the corner. Find your little corner of peace in the world. And we'll catch on Monday for Mental Health Monday. Or I'm not sure yet if we're doing borderline personality or antisocial. But tune in on Monday. Have a good evening and peace out, y'all.